NPR podcasts are now available on every platform. Check out all our shows at npr.org/podcasts. That's npr.org/podcasts.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Louise Schiavone. President Trump's lawyer sounded definitive today when he ruled out an interview of President Trump by special counsel Robert Mueller. NPR's Shannon Van Sant has the latest.
Giuliani told Fox News Sunday that an interview would happen
over my dead body.
But he has flip-flopped over the past year on whether Trump should agree to an interview with the special counsel. The White House has sent written answers in response to the special counsel's questions about possible collusion between Russia and the Trump presidential campaign, but has resisted answering any questions on obstruction of justice. Giuliani also refuted claims by Michael Cohen that Trump directed hush money payments to women, claiming he had had affairs with them. Giuliani called Cohen, Trump's former fixer, a pathological liar. Shannon Van Sant, NPR News, Washington.
International monitors are heading to Yemen to oversee a truce that's due to take effect in the city of Hodeidah next week. The warring sides agreed to the ceasefire Thursday, but NPR's Lama Alarian reports clashes continue.
Residents are reporting airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition and clashes between the warring sides in Hodeidah. That port city is a lifeline for millions of Yemenis facing disease and starvation. The Houthi rebels and the Saudi-backed government of Hadi reached an agreement on Thursday in Sweden to stop fighting in Hodeidah and withdraw their troops within days. A Houthi spokesman told NPR that those breaching the ceasefire are proxy countries, like the UAE and the Saudi government. He says if they aren't at the table negotiating, then no ceasefire is likely to work. Lama Alarian, NPR News, Beirut.
Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban is facing his first major political challenge. It's over a controversial overtime law. Joanna Kikissis reports that polls show most Hungarians strongly oppose it.
Hungarians call this the slave law. They have been protesting it since Parliament approved it last week. Protesters say this law will force workers to put in 6 days of work per week. Victor Mack, one of the protest organizers, says employers don't have to pay this overtime for 3 years.
It's absurd that you could work 400 hours of overtime and the company can pay you in 3 years. You know, workers can't go into the store and say, oh, I'll pay for this milk 3 years from now.
The government says these critics are spreading lies about the law, which it passed to address a labor shortage in Hungary. For NPR News, I'm Joanna Kikissis in Budapest.
For the first time in nearly 8 years, an Arab League leader is visiting Damascus. Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir is the first to meet with the president of Syria since the start of the civil war there. This is NPR News in Washington. French officials say the number of yellow vest protesters who turned out across France yesterday was far lower than previous weeks. But as Jake Saganaro reports, the movement has affected support for President Emmanuel Macron.
New polling shows Macron's approval rating has slipped another 2 points in the last month to 23%. The anti-Macron yellow vest movement appears to be losing steam. In Paris, police estimated fewer than 2,000 protesters came out Saturday. Nationwide, there were only about half the previous week's 136,000 people. There were also fewer clashes with police this weekend. After Macron announced concessions to try to calm the crisis, another poll showed a little more than half the yellow vest want to keep protesting. The attack on the Strasbourg Christmas market last week might have also deterred people from turning out in droves. Authorities say the sometimes violent protests have caused millions in damage and lost sales for businesses. For NPR News, I'm Jake Saganaro in Paris.
Close to 200 nations have agreed on rules designed to put the 2015 Paris Climate Accord into effect. Meeting in Poland, the countries have accepted universal, transparent rules on how nations can cut greenhouse gas emissions and curb global warming. The U.S. Air Force this week is scheduled to launch the first of a new generation of GPS satellites. Eventually, 32 will be sent into orbit. The GPS-3 satellites will replace older satellites. They are meant to be more accurate, secure, and versatile. The Air Force estimates 4 billion people worldwide use GPS. I'm Louise Schiavone, NPR News, Washington.
and you are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. This is Fate Radio, and I am your host, Kat Hobson. Joined tonight by two people that I really care a lot about and respect. I'm so excited for this new venture that they have going on. Jamie Menshouse and Felix Martin have come together. They are putting together haunted mysteries, and oh my gosh, they're really avid collectors. They have brought so much back into the care and concern side of haunted objects. Not the fear, but the respect of what is attached and living with these items. And I think, guys, that this is my favorite thing that y'all do, is you're kind of trying to remove the fear side, which a lot of people have. I mean, hello, Annabelle is something that has caused no one to want a Raggedy Ann for Christmas. But trying to teach the respect side so that you don't get in trouble, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
So you're talking to us
here
now. Okay. Yes, I mean, again, it's like what happened to Jeff at the table. You know, it's not knowing how to talk about them or to them, or mishandling, like my first Billy, where he was just thrown in a closet.
Right.
And I think he was just trying to get their attention. Is like, I don't like this. You know, where in my house he sits in the chair in the living room and he's happy, and he let me know he was happy. And I mean, I'm gonna admit I get a lot of paranormal activity in my house since I've opened my door to all these artifacts, and I just laugh because nothing malevolent, even though I have one that has like a low-level demon in it. Don't know what it is yet, but they keep telling me it's like a demon attached to it, which is fine. He's in the cabinet, and I let him out every once in a while. But again, I still treat it with respect, and not going to let any attachments. But again, that's one that nobody should be handling. You know, again,
you
especially. No, I handle it. I mean, I'm not afraid of anything, and you've already experienced that.
Personally and up close.
I'm sorry?
I said personally and up close. Yes.
I mean,
there was
we
no
don't
doubt.
handle them like every day. I mean, you know, it's not. I mean, we want people to understand that, yes, we have these objects in our home, but we don't mess with them like people think we do. You know, exactly. They have their place in the house. You know, all of mine are actually on my table right next to my bed, because that's where they're happy. If they're not in the room where I sleep, you know, it gets a little crazy.
Do they
so
travel?
That's where they're happy. I mean, they will walk around the house, and, you know, the kids will be like, "Mom, your dolls, get them." You know, they pull pranks on us. You know, I'm not sure how Felix, you know, puts up the boundaries at his house, but when I get something, you know, I'm like, look, as long as you don't mess with my kids or my animals, you don't scare us, you know, you have free range. But the second that you do, you know, then we'll do something else. But, you know, this is your home. You respect us. We respect you. But they pull pranks on my daughter, which is hilarious. At first it was something minor, and then they notice how I pick on them. And so she can't take a bath in my bathroom, or they turn the lights off on her. So I think
Bless
it's funny.
Heart.
Yeah.
That is funny.
And, I mean, in my house, I get door slam, a lot of footsteps. Like one morning I was drinking my coffee before going to work, and I hear running up on the second floor, and I mean, it was running like kids running. And first thing I said, well, it's the cats. I blame everything on the cats, no matter where they're at. And the cats came in from the garage, and I just looked up at the ceiling and I said, And I laughed and I said, "Oh, I can't." The funny thing is you can't pinpoint who it is because I got so many. It's like, who of you is running up the stairs, So I just laugh and I don't say anything to them. Like I said, there's one that does not, there's a couple of them that don't like strangers, so I will talk to them when I have a guest come over my house. When my daughter comes over to my house, I do have to lock them in a room. So because my grandkids and I do tell them, listen, my daughter and grandkids are coming and I don't want you messing with them. And this is just temporary. And I lock the door, and my daughter, that's always curious about everything, she asked me, why is that door locked? I said, that's my red room. And she goes, oh, Daddy, and she doesn't want to, she won't ask further than that. But my daughter's terrified of anything paranormal or scary movies, so I keep them away from her so she doesn't have any kind of experience. But other than that, in my house, I live alone, basically. And, they don't bother me, and they're fine. I know when they're happy, and I know when they're upset. I did have the cat attack me one day, and I always wonder, is somebody affecting him that it got vicious? A cat that, sits on me and loves on me all the time. I mean, it's worse than a dog. And this one day, I mean, it was very vicious, where it was, his eyes turned completely black and it was attacking me. And I always wondered if somebody messed with him, in that sense. But he's fine now, and whatever it was is leaving him alone from now on, hopefully.
Well, hopefully. How serious of an attack was it?
It was serious. I got all scratched up. I mean, it attacked me where I had to, get something between me and him because it was really bad.
Oh, mercy.
Was that Sid?
It was Sid, yeah.
Aww.
And Sid's never been like that ever. So,
Sid is so cute too. Well, both of them, Sid and Lulu, are just adorable cats.
Well, I'm sorry you experienced that. That had to be disconcerting.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, the cat scares me more than the dolls, put it that way.
Well, now.
And I've always told people that I'm more afraid of the living than I am of the dead. I mean,
well, true
because if I'm going through a yard, or a cemetery investigating, I'm more afraid of some kind of rabid critter coming around the corner than a ghost popping out,
Yes.
And like I was going to say, because you wondered how did I not afraid of these things? Well, when I was 16, for one thing, I grew up in a house that was haunted, and I was never harmed by her. And for 9 years, I lived in a haunted house that I would see her, hear her, and she slammed doors and tried to talk to me, but she was never trying to scare me, but I saw her plenty. And then when I was 16, I used to go to graveyards and do EVP sessions in graveyards, where every single friend I had thought I was a total nut job, because who would go in the cemetery at midnight to go talk to the dead? Yeah, Felix would. So that's why I've just always been interested in the paranormal and just getting these dolls. And again, like Jamie and I want to do, is educate people and showing the respect. And again, it's not the doll that we're showing respect to, it's the entities that are attached to it. And that goes from the dolls to both Jamie and I have cursed items from Africa also. And even though they're cursed, we don't have any issues with them because, again, the way we treat it. And I don't think the curse will attach to us because of the way we treat it. Plus, we're the owners of it. So if you mess with me, I'll give you the cursed item and you're cursed forever. No, I'm kidding. But
I will no longer accept gifts from you, Felix. That just cut down on your Christmas shopping list.